Hello, you're watching Tulip Swift. Today I'm doing my favorite books of last year. So this year I have 12 favorite books, which is really good, especially because I didn't read that much. So I just had like a really good year in 2019. Most of these books, or like most of the top ones you'll see, are contemporaries. Also, every year I feel like I'm holding less and less physical copies because I've been kind of cutting back like significantly on how many books I buy. Coming in at number 12 is Be Gay, Do Crime, Thoughts from Prison by Stephanie R. Leap, which is the pen name for Nama. I'll put a screenshot here, but she has a Taylor Swift Stan account. She is Israeli and she went to prison for not joining the IDF. In this book, she talks about why that happened, what her life is like, with a lot of Taylor Swift memes, drawings, poetry, and of course the pages are rainbow, like a pride flag. So it's a really short read. It was self-published. The money goes to Palestine's Children Relief Fund. So what basically it is when she was in prison, she was writing notes to her best friend and just writing like kind of like a journal entries in general. A lot of them are really funny and it's really heartfelt. It's kind of like a collection of tweets, like shit posting like from prison in Israel, so very interesting. Let me read you the back. A woman who runs a Taylor Swift update account going to prison for refusing to join the IDF and having lots of gay sex while in prison and then going viral as an anti-Zionist Taylor Swift stan, ... wrote down many thoughts while in prison. Some were shown publicly on Twitter, but most were simply put in a pile and forgotten. Until now. Stephanie, pen name, is a professional dumbass. She owns a bunch of cows, lives near Gaza, and loves spending her time on Twitter pissing people off and making communist memes. The bisexual idiot has somehow figured out, with the help of many great people, how to make a real quote book with real dumb quotes in it. This is it. Amazing. We stand. Number 11 is I Wish You All the Best by Mason Dever. I read this book right after BookCon after I met them, and it was very, very cool, very eye-opening. I have never read a book with an NB character that I know of. That's like finally coming to light, and it's like everywhere, and it's happening. It's like an issue book, but it's also just like very grounded, heartfelt. The hype it's getting is incredible, because I literally remember seeing the tweets about writing this book and like everything. Like that's wild that it's like out here. I think it's probably a bestseller. Number 10 is Again But Better by Christine Riccio. Most people hate this book. I'm used to it. Most people hate the books that I talk about on my channel. So this is, of course, the special edition. I actually made a short film about this and I'm kind of thinking about releasing it soon. So also this was really grounded in her experience, and everything I know about Christine really ended up in this book. It's not present day. It takes place in like 2008 or something, 2010. Okay, the writing wasn't spectacular, but I think she's gonna get better, because there was like a lot of like skill and like talent in this, and I felt like she was very aware of structure and where things were going, and it really kept me like centered on where like I'm supposed to be, but it also threw me all over the place and surprised me. It's very smart. It's very like true to life in like a love story sense. I really loved it. I can tell it's not for everyone, but just with the circumstances of like that I'm a fan of hers, I was interested in this. It was so much fun, you know? Okay. Number 9 is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I didn't look that up. I think it's right though. I'm kind of proud of myself. So this one, hyped book of the year. Everyone loved it. Gay as hell. Yada, yada, yada. I really loved it. I loved the light smut. There's arguments over if this is a smutty book, because some people are like, you don't even know what smut is. But for the sake of like what YA contains, this is a smutty book. I would say it's very new adult. I thought it would be very like unbelievable in the sense that he's the president's son. But that actually worked out perfectly, and like the royal, like everything. So if you haven't read this because you're living under a rock, it's a royal prince and son of the president of the United States who fall in love, but it's kind of a secret. I thought it was just beautiful. It was really like rich with like humor, romance. It's a hilarious book, you know, it's really good. I can't wait to read more. It's a really wonderful book that's just all good vibes all around. Number 8 is Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. I have a book talk for this one as well. This book really fit like right into what I wanted to read. It's very like nostalgic. These characters kind of came out of nowhere, but they also, you know, are very classic, and they kind of remind me of like the brothers are kind of like Thor and Loki. It definitely gets worse from the first book. The second and third one are still fun, like they're still riding that high. There's just a lot of like filler in the rest of the series. So Red Queen I feel like is kind of like a basic bitch like YA. For some reason it really worked for me. The angst And then there's like the royalty component, and then there's also like a supernatural component. It really hits all the bases for me, and it was very comforting reading something that felt like so many other series that I've read in such a good way. 7 is Tyler Johnson Was Here. Gonna be honest, I read this so long ago now. It was very, 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 very good. It's a YA Black Lives Matter book, if you haven't heard of it. It was super grounded in like family. It just spoke for itself just by like the characters and the events, and I really appreciated that. There's a lot when you dive into it, but I felt like it was really worth it. Number 6 is Nexus by Sasha Alsberg and Lindsay Cummings. I have a review for this book. This duology is incredible, and I really love it so much because it's kind of like YA and Star Trek, but make it all women and really cool. This book was definitely really hard for me because this series is supposed to be 4 or 5 books, and they kind of wrapped it all up in one final one, which was really hard because they had a lot of like, you know, loose ends, but they really did a good job with what they had. Still, I really wanted this to be a longer series. I thought it surprised me, but it also gave me a lot of the classic Zenith vibes. There definitely wasn't enough time for all of the characters that they had set up, because they set up like a big group, and I think especially Lyra was lacking in this one. It was really hard because I really felt like she had a journey ahead of her after reading the first book, and that's one of the things that just made me so excited for the Andromeda Saga. Fly true, here I am. I'm a stan, you know, someone has to be, and there are some of us out there. Anyways, this was a great book. I wish I could keep putting Zenith books on my lists every year, but you know, this is the last one, apparently. I still think a prequel with Kaylee should be coming out, you know, kind of like some gay vibes with Kaylee and drama. You know, whatever, I'm not in charge. If I was, we would be getting a TV show. But I'm just gonna go home and cry. Number 5 is Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. Did you guys really keep this series from me for this long? Everyone's like, yeah, like Shadow and Bone is whatever, but like Six of Crows is where it's at. Since the Netflix announcement, I was like, well, it's right here, I'll read it. So I read it, and it was incredible. And I was kind of pissed because I did start Six of Crows once upon a time. I read like 10 pages and I was like, whatever. But now I'm kind of like way more excited to go into it because I'm so into like Grishaverse. But yeah, Shadow and Bone was incredible. Kind of like Red Queen. It was like all these like classic staples, like, you know, she's taken away and she's like she's the chosen one. It was like, it's another chosen one story. There's friends to lovers. There is the Darkling that everyone's been talking about, but like I didn't really understand what was so appealing about him. I read the sequel. It was really disappointing. Not as good as the first one, but I'm gonna have to finish the trilogy out, of course. You know, that first book is everything, and I'm so excited for the Netflix series. If you haven't read Shadow and Bone, I totally recommend it. I'm actually currently reading Ninth House, and I'm trying to like read all the Leigh Bardugo books. I just don't think anything will hold up to Shadow and Bone. It reminds me a lot of Girls of Paper and Fire. Yeah, I really, really, really liked it. So much angst. Number 4 is P.S. I Still Love You by Jenny Han. I have been reading this trilogy at the pace of a snail. The first book made my list once upon a time, and it really is that good. I read her Summer I Turned Pretty series, and I kind of really didn't like it. It's kind of strange like how different those two are. But what I love about this book so much is a lot of it's based on her childhood because they're Korean American. There's 3 sisters, and I mean, obviously, you've probably seen the movie. Hopefully, you've seen the movies. Go watch the movies. It makes me so happy. It's just so wholesome. It reminds me a lot of The Princess Diaries, but I did absolutely love this book. Number 3, I actually do own this book, but I don't have it in front of me because I lent it to my sister, and I'm kind of pissed because I love this book so much. It's Boy Meets Boy by David Levithan. I read this after meeting him at BookCon 2019. I just kind of been binging him, and this is like, I think his like big like solo debut. It's like 2004 or something. It's a gay YA. What I like about his books is they are very short, which I think is why they have so much like cinematic potential, because like a lot of his books have been adapted, like Nick and Nora, Naomi and Eli, Every Day. Boy Meets Boy, I think, is my favorite David Levithan that I've read so far. It really is like, it went into my favorite books of all time. I know it's only number 3, but I don't know, it's really hard. The top 3 this year or last year were like really close. This one in particular really just has, his writing very much speaks to me. The protagonist is definitely like super funny and quirky, openly gay. There wasn't really like a genre for like LGBTQ young adult books back then. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't what it is now. I didn't realize, like, it was, like, more than 10 years old until I, like, looked it up. So that was wild. All right, I don't really like John Green, but I think it does have John Green vibes. Vibes as in it's really about the journey and, like, the psychological. I really related to that, kind of in a Perks of Being a Wallflower way. I think this book is so underrated. Like, read Boy Meets Boy. It's so short. It's a few hundred pages. It really is, I think, spectacular. It's very comforting. Like, I think I want to keep reading it, but it also has plenty of depth to it. So From Twinkle with Love is kind of the underdog with Sandhya Menon books. I have to say, it is her best one. This one is the best one. I read all three of them. I met her. She's wonderful. Yay! So this one is about a girl named Twinkle, and she's in high school, and she wants to be a filmmaker. And I don't know if you know this, but, like, I want to be a filmmaker too. So this is wonderful because she's really following her dreams, and she starts making this film. Throughout the process, she meets this boy who's just absolutely wonderful. I'm so lucky to have even found this book. It's everything to me. I really, really love this book. Number one is kind of a fighter. All the other books were so good and mean so much to me and are so personal to me. So what I'm talking about is A Very Large Expanse of Sea by Tahira Mafi. Also have a book review for this one. Look at me go! This book is incredible. It's very telling of, I feel like I've been saying this a lot in this video, but it's based on her childhood and kind of growing up as a Muslim girl. After 9/11, so it takes place in like 2001 or 2002 or something. Yeah, I really, really liked it. And I was so fortunate to meet her, and I didn't even have to go to BookCon. She came to freaking Michigan. Who does that? And I told her, hey, I have been actually doing breakdance. And it's so wild because the character in the book breakdances, and I'm not. For the record, I'm very bad at breakdance. I can do a few moves. I haven't been practicing at all. So I was like, yeah, this made me actually want to, like, go to practice and stuff. And she was like, oh, that's so cool that you breakdance. And I was like, yeah, I'm really bad at it though. And she was like, no, me too. And I'm like, no, like, I've actually seen her online. And she's like, not bad at it at all. This book is a love story. It's also kind of a family story and a very based in her culture. And the character is just absolutely incredible. There was a romance, but it wasn't really about the romance. He was kind of a wonderful love interest, but it was, all about her and her journey. This is a book that had me up all night, and I was crying, and I shed so many tears. It really is an experience. You kind of have to read it for yourself. I loved it absolutely so much. You kind of get into it, and you're like, oh, I kind of see where this is going. Like, I kind of know what's going to happen. Like, it's going to be fine. But just living the experience and, like, seeing it through her point of view, it really changes things, and it's just an absolutely wonderful read. So I totally recommend it. I guess, yeah, it is the best book of the year, but, I love Boy Meets Boy. Like, that's going to be on my list forever. Like, that's, like, a staple. But, this one had just came at a very special moment. It just was incredible. But still, like, Twinkle is everything. Boy Meets Boy is everything. Yeah, so I guess that wraps up this video. Thank you guys so much for watching or sticking around or watching till the end or even just clicking on my channel. Stick around, follow me on Twitter, check out my Depop. You can buy things from me if you really want to. Yeah, I'm just doing my best out here. If you have a YouTube channel, hit me up. I think I know most people that watch my videos, but if for some reason I'm getting a new viewer, let me know your booktube or your YouTube, and we can be like mutuals or whatever. I don't know. I'm always here to make friends. Ending this video. The longer the video is, the longer is my outro. And I just end up cutting it all anyway. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. I love you so much. Bye!